So when we look at the second component of peak mental health,
Right.
you have identified keeping your values and actions integrated.
Right.
Can you define that for me a little further? What does that mean to have these things integrated?
Well, another way of saying it is, walking your talk and being impeccable with that. That's an idea that people have been introduced to through the 4 agreements by, I think it's Don Luis. I can't remember the author, but anyway. But, integration is where my deepest values and my constant practice are walking hand in hand with each other. And if people don't do that, then what they experience is disintegration. They become unwoven, and that develops a cognitive dissonance. And then too often people treat that cognitive dissonance with a substance or a addictive kind of behavior.
They soothe it.
That's what they're attempting to do. Exactly. What we need to do is to learn how to soothe ourselves in ways that don't disintegrate us, that keep us integrated. Okay.
Would you say that thing 1 and thing 2, knowing yourself authentically, in other words, knowing your values,
Right.
and then living your values,
Right.
I mean, they're almost different sides of the same coin.
One leads to the other.
They really do.
Yeah. That's how my brain works.
No, that's why I'm trying to extract this framework from your brain.
Figure out what's important to you. Live according to that. Because if you don't live according to that, then we're practicing living in a lie.
And it creates emotional friction.
Right. And a lack of peace.
Yes. That can manifest any number of ways: lack of peace, dissatisfaction, inability to ever really be happy.
Right.
You name it.
And that's why the gratitude needs to be in there.
Yes.
Because gratitude has to happen on the journey from point A to my goal of point B. If I don't practice gratitude along the way, when I get to point B, I won't enjoy it. Right.
So consequences of not establishing thing number 2, which is keeping your values and actions integrated, are they the same as not knowing yourself authentically, or are they somehow unique and different? What are the consequences if you know yourself authentically, but then the disconnect happens at living that integration?
Okay, so where the disintegration happens, or the disconnect happens, that's another point for growth. As soon as I recognize, my actions, my words are not matching my deeper values, then I can get curious about that, and I can do something about that. I don't need to say, oh my God, I'm a complete fraud. I can recognize where things need to be tightened up a little bit, integrated more, and I can work on that. We are all works in progress.
Yeah, I'm recalling I did a series on the concept. I can't remember which series I presented it, but essentially I used the idea of auditing for friction. That you internally auditing, like, how do I improve myself?
Right.
And I audit internally, well, where are there friction points? And like a big red X on a treasure map, like dig here, like that's a really great place. And then once you find something and you improve it, the next step is to celebrate, be grateful, but then right back around, I'm auditing for the next level of friction.
That's right. Exactly.
It's an infinite game, but I love how in order to really make sure you're integrated with your value system, you have to actually know your values.
Right, exactly. And I love what you said about where you notice the friction, dig here.
Yeah.
Because what's a person I'm going to use, and I love alchemy, and which is at the root of Jung's psychology. But when you identify the friction, you're identifying lead, right? Which is a poison. Poisonous metal to have within us.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good. But if you dig and you unearth it and you bring it into the light of the sun, which in alchemical lore is represented by gold, they're connected, right? Then you have discovered gold because you've got something to work with and transmute. So we don't have to be afraid of it. Dig here, find the lead, bring it in the presence of the Son, and let it be transfigured. Our scars can become our stars and help guide us on the way.
And they often do.
Yeah.
Once you're
Right.
healed.
Right.
Yeah. The amount of people that I've had the opportunity to talk with who have gone through the healing process and are on the other side, without exception, their greatest lessons, joys, accomplishments were always on the back end of healing from something that was
Right.
their worst moment.
Well, I'll be very direct with you. The most important learning I've undergone as a therapist is come out of my own therapy, as well as bringing other cases, of course anonymously, to my colleagues for evaluation and coaching and correction. And that's why I stay in therapy, because I want to continue to be on the growing edge.
Well, it's practice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a practice. Right.
Yeah. Which many of us as practitioners,
Right.
through a lot of forces at play, have unfortunately found ourselves doing medicine, but not practicing it.
Yeah.
And that practitionership, and as somebody who helps people heal emotionally, spiritually, if you don't have the practitionership, you're not practicing anything. And I am a chef who eats my own cooking with my physical and chemical body. I don't tell anyone or give recommendations that I wouldn't do for myself. I'm in the game.
Right.
I'm trying to figure this out too. And I think there's a real beautiful...
And that keeps you authentic.
Yeah, there's an authenticity and a realness. And it's aligned with my value system because I want to be authentic.
Right.
And I want to be useful.
Yes.
And in order to do that, I have to be in the arena.
That's right. That's right.
So if someone is not, outside of my audit for friction, is there a way, if you're working with someone and you're noticing this person is clear with what their value systems are, but they're acting outside of their value system currently, do you have an approach or a strategy that you use or give people to help them become more congruent with or aligned with their value system?
Again, I seek to be curious with them about what's happening here. This is what I've heard you say that you value, and this is what I'm observing that you are doing. And I see that this is not congruent, at least from where I sit. Am I missing something, or do you see it that way also? So in other words, I don't start from a place of judgment. I don't go to judgment. It's again
curiosity.
Again, it's curiosity, right? I might ask, what keeps engaging in one set of behaviors when you say you espouse another? Because again, you're always trying to get a legitimate need met, but in a way that doesn't align. So again, my job is to help them see that and then figure out what the course corrections are to get back in alignment with their deepest values. And occasionally, people have to change their value because maybe it's an unrealistic standard that they've got that was passed on to them and they've never gotten curious about it.
It was more of an adopted value as opposed to something that they identified and owned.
I love that. Adopted value versus something they identified and owned. That's great. Yep. For instance, the message that many people live with of always care for others, never care for yourself. Think more highly of others than you do of yourself. Well, that's a principle for many Christians, and I am a Christian, that is derived from the New Testament, but it's, I think, taken out of context. So it ends up being self-deprecating when misapplied. And those that teach that are engaging in metaphysical malpractice, if you ask me. You must never think of yourself. Well, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as you love
yourself.
Yourself.
Yeah.